Well, this is certainly a strange thing to see on one's video screen. Whether you're tuned in live on Facebook on a Wednesday at 7 p.m., or whether you're tuned in to the archival YouTube channel run by me. You can see the little blurb in the background. So you could probably guess that I've already given away who I am and what it is I'm doing here, even though the picture's not really in focus in the front, and you can see me kind of wiggling around. I might as well just drop all pretense and reveal the secret that you already knew. It's me, Malcolm Tent, bringing you this week's episode of Tent Talks Tunes, baby. Woo! Flap your wings and fly into the musical wilderness with me every single Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is, of course, Lord willing, and the creeks don't rise. I like to come at you every 168 hours so I can flap my gums, flex my head, stretch the limits of credulity with my love of talking about music and the artifacts that come with music and the stories that come with the artifacts of music. All of the above, maybe even none of the above, depending on where the chips might fall. Let's have a big toast to the chips, shall we? Delicious Danbury tap, fortified with extra mercury. I drink it by the gallon. That might account for a couple of things. I don't know. Let me reach over to get my specs here, and let's pick up the monitor and see who's tuned in here. This is, of course, an extremely imperfect way of seeing what's going on and who is watching and listening and living the life and the legend with me. I see that somebody's there, but I don't know who. So we'll just be satisfied to know that I am indeed going out live and that you can see me. So yay, technology. So yeah, I've been extremely busy lately. Can you imagine? I've been making CDs. This is all for one wholesale order for a record store out in California. Usually I'm packing boxes full of LPs and cassettes, but I don't know, maybe there is a CD revival going on. Is it possible? Am I really going to believe the hype that there is such a thing as a CD revival? What do you people think? You spend more time out there in the real world than I do. I know that whenever I go around to record stores, which I do quite often, selling records, buying and trading, I still see a vinyl far, far, far outweighing CDs and even cassettes in the bins. But in the mail order business, I'm actually sending out CDs, like this big old stack to a record store in California, and some guy ordered an orange 9mm CD, one of the class of 90-something Revelation hardcore titles. Ordered it on CD, and that CD had been sitting in my inventory for months and months and months. Now somebody's bought it. Go figure. I mean, as we all know, I, for a very, very, very long time, was completely vehemently anti-CD. But as Bob Dylan once said, times have changed. Look it up. Times have changed. Go on the internet. See for yourself. Times have changed. CDs have become much more populist, much cheaper, and therefore much easier to use. So, Lord help me, for the first time ever, I've actually manufactured a title on CD for my fabulous label, TPOS, and I've actually got more in the pipeline in terms of being manufactured and professionally printed. So go figure. CD revival? I don't know. Hey, now my monitor is actually showing me that I can see who is watching and who is tuned in. Sean Fairweather, a man who has spent a lot of time at Trash American Style. Bob Eaton, who is watching from a campground in Vermont outside. Now that's cool. In my day, the height of remote viewing luxury was this thing that my father mail ordered. I remember this so very well. My father was the kind of guy who he had to have the newest in technology at all times. He was the guy who got one of the first home videotape recorders. Anytime there was a new receiver on the market, preferably a bigger, more powerful receiver, he would get it. And one day he sent away to this mail order company, and a box arrived in the mail. It was actually somewhere around the size of like maybe two of these stacks of CDs. And me and my brothers gathered around while he opened it, and he pulled out this thing. It was a square, heavy-duty plastic, rugged thing with a lot of knobs and dials on it, and a couple of rabbit ear antenna that stuck out, and a 5-inch TV screen. Yes, my brothers and sisters, dear old dad had just mail ordered one of the world's first, at least as of 1970 something, portable battery powered television sets. And this thing was designed to be carted around outdoors and dropped and, you know, knocked around and everything. It could take a beating. And it was incredible because, yes, you could plug it into a regular wall outlet, but you could also take, I think it was 8 D-cell batteries, you know, the big flashlight batteries, 8, maybe even 10 D-cell batteries, and pack them into this thing, and you could watch on the little 5-inch black and white screen television wherever you went. It was incredible. And I remember one time we took a family vacation up to some friends in Georgia, and we brought that thing along with us. And me and my brothers sat in the back seat of the car with this battery-powered TV. Like, you know, we never mind whatever scenery was going on outside. Never mind historical landmarks. You know, we're driving by Stonehenge South or whatever, Coral Castle, Monkey Jungle. We didn't care. We had this TV set in the back, and we were like turning the knobs and turning the dials and twiddling the antenna, trying to get in whatever TV station there was wherever we were. And I remember getting a couple of very fleeting, very short-lived, very snowy minutes of TV in the back seat of that car. But man, it was quite novel. It was a lot of fun trying. So anyway, Bob, who's at a campground in Vermont right now, is doing what we were trying to do 40 years ago with one of these things, probably with no effort whatsoever. So mazel tov, Bob. And let's see. Yeah, we got a whole bunch of people tuned in. Probably too many to name check right now. So I'll just have to look at you guys a little bit later. So anyway, I'm here. I'm now drinking a Danbury tap. Let's check the bulletin board, shall we? And see what's going on here in the wild, wonderful, wacky world of me, Malcolm Tent. Well, the first thing I want to mention, draw your attention to, is a tour schedule. As my good friend Tim Holhouse would say, a tour schedule. Because Tim is from England, and Tim is coming over to the US of A in October, and he and I are touring together. Yeah! Check it out. We got some confirmed gigs. We are playing on October 13th in Adams, Massachusetts at Bell Tower Records. I've known the folks from Bell Tower for a long time. Good people. Can't wait to actually set foot in their record store for the first time and pollute their air with my music. Next night, October 14th, the News Cafe in Providence, Rhode Island. After that, another record store, Willimantic Records in Willimantic, Connecticut. Hello, Joe, regular viewer. I've played there a number of times, but it's been a long time since I've rock and rolled at Willimantic Records. Very much looking forward to getting back in the swang of things there on October 15th. October 16th, we have a gig tentatively confirmed for New Brunswick, New Jersey. 17th, 18th, and 19th, you see lots of question marks. There are 9 question marks for the 3 dates, October 17th, 18th, and 19th. We want to fill those dates. I have a suspicion that one of those dates is probably going to be at Molten Java in Bethel, Connecticut, my favorite coffee house, my favorite all-ages venue to play in Connecticut. Probably going to be one of those, but we need 2 more dates in the New England area. So if any of you folks want to see the amazing spectacle of myself and my good pal Tim Holhouse strumming our starvation boxes in very close proximity to you, hit me up. Leave a message, direct message me, leave a comment. Make us an offer we can't refuse. We want to rock your town in the New York, New Jersey, New England area. October. Let's make it happen. Let's see what else is going on. Another very interesting development. I was speaking to the general manager of WNHU 88.7 FM in New Haven, where I, for a very, very long time, until the new normal got inflicted upon us, the host of my weekly radio show entitled Mr. Tent's Wild Ride. Well, after over 2.5 years of being in a suspended condition because of the aforementioned new normal, Mr. Tent's Wild Ride is going to be back on the air. 100% it is confirmed. The date has not been confirmed, but it's going to be sometime after my wrist surgery in July. July 20th, just a little bit more than 3 weeks from today, I'm getting my wrist operated on to fix old bone damage and to remove the constant pain that this wrist has been in since I was 19 years old. So, wrist surgery on July 20th, and then sometime after that, Mr. Tent's Wild Ride returns to the airwaves on WNHU West Haven. So all the music that I can't actually play for you people on Tent Talks Tunes, I will be able to play for you on Mr. Tent's Wild Ride. So it's going to be the best of all possible worlds. Another really cool thing coming up on July 24th of this year, in a few weeks, the return of the Malcolm Tent Shoot interview series. I've got a not one, but two-parter with my good pal Mike Lesser, the former lead singer of the Gay Cowboys in Bondage. I got him to sit in the hot seat, and I got to grill him mercilessly about the South Florida punk scene of the 80s, about the Gay Cowboys in Bondage, about that band, about our fellow travelers, and about all the really cool, awesome, fun stuff that was happening in South Florida. Surrounded by hostile forces, we were still able to carve out a really cool punk and hardcore scene. So we're going to talk about that, and that's going to air on July 24th. Keep your eye open and your ear peeled for an event relating to that. Okay, enough falderall. Let's get down to some business, shall we? Pretty cool mail day. Or I should say mail days these past few weeks. I gotten a few things in the mail, and I'm happy to show and tell all of them because every picture I'm about to show you tells a story. And the stories are all completely germane to me, you, and the way we live our lives culturally. Let's take a quick look at the monitor. Ms. Gelm is watching from Tucson, Arizona. On the big screen, Ms. Kit E. Cat from North Carolina. Tom, not Bonehead, but Boudreaux from Connecticut, one of my very favorite studios to work at, Bonehead Studios. The great visual artist Brian Zickafoos, who also just happens to be the guitar player for the Bloody Apostles. Welcome aboard, everybody. So, last week on Tent Talks Tunes, I did a little bit of a quick show and tell on one of my very, very favorite things when I was a kid. Wacky Packages! Oh my god, Wacky Packages. And imagine my surprise when I got an anonymous package in the mail. I was not expecting this at all. With no return address. I opened it up and I found not one, not two, but three, a veritable tower, of modern day three-dimensional Wacky Packages. I think they're called puny products now, which is great. I haven't opened these up yet. We're going to open one of these right now because this is bringing out the inner fourth grader in me. I told the sad tale about how my mean fourth grade teacher, Mrs. Coven, confiscated my collection of Wacky Packs when I was, passing them around in class instead of writing a stupid essay or something. I never got them back. So after opening the package and fishing out these puny products, I did see a note from my aforementioned good pal Mike Lesser from Vancouver, BC, who took it upon himself to send me these modern Wacky Packs as a way of saying to mean old Mrs. Coven. And Mrs. Coven, if you're still out there, you are still very welcome to return my Wacky Packages. I'll bet you still got them. Or your grandchildren have them. Somebody in the Coven family's got them, and I want them back. Just saying. If anybody ever had a heart, Mrs. Coven, this is your chance. There's my mailing address right there. P.O. Box 3626, Newtown, Connecticut, 06470. You remember me. This is your chance to even out your karma. I've been a very good student since the 4th grade. Very good. So I think I need my Wacky Packs back. And if you don't send it back, that's okay, because my pal Mike is looking after me. So we're going to open up one of these things. I cannot wait to see what's actually in this. This is just like going to the local convenience store, which was PAX, P-A-K''S. PAX in PSN is where we got our Wacky Packs. And we would pay 5 cents for a wax-covered package that had stickers, bubblegum, and a puzzle piece. This is now a 3D container, and they've got a teaser on top. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'll shake it up a little bit. But there is an actual teaser, a 3D product in there in the top of the lid. So we're going to open it up right now. Here is a cold unveiling. Okay, we're opening it up, and we're pouring out, yes, a little 3D box of doesn't do nothing detergent. They even kept the original product design that I remember from when I was in the 4th grade. This is great. So cool. Yes, in case you can't see, that is a dirty, unwashed hippie washing himself in a big old tub full of doesn't do nothing. Then, do they even still have Does detergent, D-U-Z, that it's a takeoff on? Does detergent, does that even exist anymore? Doesn't do nothing was darn funny when I was a kid, and it still is. Wacky Packages made fun of the hippies a lot, and I'm cool with that. I wanted to be a hippie very badly when I was a kid. My parents took me to see the Woodstock movie at the drive-in theater, the Golden Glades drive-in, as a matter of fact, and it damaged me for life. I wanted to be a hippie so bad. But you know what? I do have, if nothing else, I've got a sense of humor. So the way Wacky Packages would always be making fun of the hippies, no problem. If they ever would have put out a product line that makes fun of geriatric record collectors, bring it. Bring it. Now let's see what else is in this box. We've opened up the top. I'm going to keep the flap on because I am that sort of collector guy. And it's got a little bit of cardboard in there. We're going to peel it open. Oh, what is it? It's a sticker. It's a little tiny sticker for, can we see that? For bar-kissed tuna. Not star-kissed, bar-kissed. Same design from whenever, and it's the same. I don't know if star-kissed tuna even exists anymore, but I get it. I remember very well, bar-kissed. And then we open it up, and there's some more stuff. And by the way, I am not a compensated endorser. I don't care if they sell a single one of these ever, but it was mailed to me, so I got to see what's in it. So we open it up, and there's a whole big jumble of stuff in there, including, I guess this is the. Okay, I see each product is individually wrapped, so you can't see what it is. All right, that's cool. Lots of thrill of discovery in there. I'll have to open these up later. And yeah, okay, some bubble gum and some kind of folded up piece of paper thing, and more packages. Another folded up piece of paper. I have no idea what it is. I'll be digging into this in earnest later, all 3 of them. Actually, let's open up one of these right now, because I can't wait. I just can't wait. This is a little 3D container of, Duds root beer. Yes, Duds root beer. Or is it Bubs? No, it's Duds. I remember Duds from way back when. Duds root beer. I think that's a satire on a root beer brand that used to be called Dad's. And it's kind of the same deal. I don't know if Dad's root beer even exists anymore, but there's duds. Mike, thank you so much. You've made my day. Poor old Harry the cat is going to be feeling so ignored tonight because I'm going to be doing nothing but opening up Wacky Packages and playing with them and arranging them on my pretty shelf all night long. People don't know it, but or maybe you do know, I collect salt and pepper shakers. I also collect miniatures, and I've had this one for a long time, a genuine glass bottle of frosty root beer with some kind of strange liquid in it. And I've had this thing for years, and the liquid is actually still in it. Very, very sinister. So yeah, I'm going to have a whole bunch of little miniature products in my kitchen starting tonight. Got a package in the mail just today from my good pal Dennis Highland, the CEO of Jackhammer USA, the Japanese-based label that not only released the Antiseen Before I Hang split 10-inch and CD EP, but it's also going to be releasing the CD version of new Antiseen album entitled Great Disasters. That's coming out on Jackhammer in the US and Japan on CD. And Dennis just sent me a CD. I saw him post about this. I know nothing about it. Tokyathra. Tokyathra? Tokyathra. I don't know how to pronounce it, but there it is. I know nothing about it, but I'm going to find out. And now that I know that I am going to be back on the air sometime after July, odds are pretty fair that I'll be playing it. I've told this to anybody who wants to send me promos and stuff for my radio show. I don't guarantee airplay because I only play what works for my show. The only guarantee I make is I listen to everything that comes across my desk. So all you bands and artists out there, if you want to have at least a chance, a fair chance at airplay, there's my mailing address. P.O. Box 3626, Newtown, Connecticut, 06470. I'll reiterate, I don't guarantee airplay, but I do guarantee that I will listen to it. And if I think it fits my show, then I will play it. And WNHU is real terrestrial radio, 88.7 on your FM dial, and also on the internet. So put that in your glass eye and look through it. Now, Dennis also sent me some stuff a few days ago. Dennis knows that I love the random assortment of miscellany. And he wrote to me and said that he was at a yard sale down there in Mobile, Alabama, where he lives, and he found a whole bunch of records that apparently originated from somebody in South Florida. And we all know I'm a Florida boy. So he sent these to me because they had the price tag on them, and I don't recognize the price tag. So maybe some of my South Floridian expatriates out there will know where this price tag came from. Before I show the price tag, I want to scroll on down and take a look at this comments real quick. Oh, now Larry Mann, who is from my generation, says that Does soap powder came with a washcloth inside. Interesting. Very interesting. And Gary Child says he has a bunch of those Wacky Packs minis. Oh my God, we're in trouble now. He wants to trade. Oh my God. A lot of trouble afoot now. You guys might see me embarking on a new career with Wacky Packages instead of Wacky Records. Maybe I can multitask. I don't know. Okay. Expatriate South Floridians out there. Does anybody recognize this style of price tag? A mysterious big letter. Truthfully, I don't know where that's from. Anybody out there know? Anybody who grew up in Florida going to the record stores in the 60s and or 70s and or 80s? Now, Dennis sent me a bunch of these, and one or two of them, of course, didn't bring them with me here for Tent Talks Tunes, but one or two of them have the old computerized rectangular price tags that they would stick in the corner, and one end would be affixed to the shrink, the other end would be affixed to the shrink, and the middle, the sales clerk would tear off and put on file for reordering. But the price tags that were on these records that Dennis sent didn't have any name on them whatsoever. So it could have been really any department store in South Florida. I don't remember any of the real record stores having those types of price tags, but the department stores all did. But this is a mystery. This is a mystery. What department store or record store used these price tags? Just a big old letter. And you know how that worked. You know, you pick up the record and it would have the D price tag on it, and the record store would have signs placed throughout the store saying A equals $1.99, B equals $2.99, and so on and so forth. So you had to do some work to see what the price of the record was. But it's interesting, he sent me 3 of these. Not only are they're all sealed too. Check this out, a sealed iron butterfly ball, a sealed electric prunes, mass in whatever minor. And boy, all you folks out there who have ever been to a yard sale or have ever been to a dollar bin, check this out. A sealed copy of The Unicorn by the Irish Rovers. Oh boy. Somebody's grandparents had this record out there. Can I get an amen? Can I see a thumbs up? Can I have a gaspy face? Can I have something from everybody out there whose grandparents had this record? Or depending on the generation gap, but nowadays maybe even your great-grandparents had this record. My grandparents had this record, The Unicorn by the Irish Rovers, which to this day I've never heard, but I've seen about 278,000 copies of it, all in the dollar bin. Never seen one sealed before, though. This is kind of the equivalent to finding a sealed copy of Whipped Cream and Other Delights by Herb Alpert. Practically unheard of. So just because it's sealed makes it kind of cool. And of course, sealed electric prunes, ain't nothing wrong with that. And sealed iron butterfly, ain't nothing wrong with that either. And they all have the same price tag. They're all D's. Every one of these is a D. All of them. Is that a price tag or is that a grade? Did the good records get an A price tag? And the okay records get a B price tag, and the average records get a C price tag, and the ones that just barely passed get a D price tag, and of course the failures got an F? I don't know. I just don't know. But thank you, Dennis, for sending me these fine sealed records, and the other ones you sent me as well, because you've really got my curiosity piqued, and you got my brain churning as to the absolute endless possibilities of the D price tag vintage sealed records, and the fact that I cannot shuffle them while using my screen as a monitor because I can't tell what the F I'm doing. Dennis also sent me with a personalized note on it for my friend Randy, because everyone has a Randy friend, right? Let's hope so, because there it is. A record by Randy himself. Yes, it is Randy. There he is. No last name needed, you know, Engelbert, Wayne, Elvis, Randy. And I don't know if I have the nerve to play this one. It is autographed, of course, as so many of these records are. It is autographed. And no, Randy did not put his last name on his autograph either. I guess you're just supposed to know. But I don't. I just don't. And if you technologically savvy people out there want to do a reverse image search, what do you think? Real hair or fake? What do you think? My vote says that it's acrylic. My vote says that it's a prototype for the weird-ass stuff that Paul Stanley wears on his head and Gene Simmons wears on his head. It's like an earlier, more dignified version. And by the way, folks, you know the old saying, judge not lest ye be judged. Those who live in glass houses should not throw stones. I know what I got on top of my head. Not much. And I am proud of it. If you got it, flaunt it. If you don't got it, really flaunt it. Who wants to walk around with a mass of spun acrylic on their head? I just don't get it. Some do. Some do. I don't knock anybody for doing it. I'm just not one of them. I'm just not. I also drink a gallon of Danbury tap water every day. Go figure, right? Gee whiz. You know, last week I did a show and tell on the Weird World of Blowfly album that I found at a record store in Virginia. Welcome to the Weird World of Malcolm Tent, kids. Every Wednesday at 7 o'clock on Facebook Live. Tent Talks Tunes. And archived forever on my YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to it yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. I honestly do not know what you're waiting for. If you're waiting for it to get better, every time I upload a new episode of Tent Talks Tunes, it gets better. So you might as well just do it now. Make like my song says and do it now. Let's see if we have any mysteries solved from expat South Floridians about the strange, mysterious, and enigmatic D price tag. Murray Gelman ventures the guess, and Joe, a.k.a. Mal Anowski, each venture to say Caldor. Now, I did catch the very tail end of Caldor when I moved to Connecticut from South Florida. I didn't spend a whole lot of time there, but Caldor was definitely a big thing in Connecticut right up until sometime in the 90s when they all vanished. So, maybe, I don't know. They didn't have Caldors in South Florida, I know that much. We had really cool department stores like Grant's, Zayre's, you know, obviously Woolworth and Woolco. Some of the bigger ones, JCPenney, Sears. We had Jackson Byron's. I think that's most and not all of them. The Treasury, of course. My personal favorite was the Treasury. But I got to reiterate, none of them used the letter pricing system. Someone out there knows. Leave a comment if you do. Now, Dennis, when he sent me these random records, including the Sealed Iron Butterfly, he kind of triggered me to go on a mad, out-of-this-world, insane listening party featuring, yes, Iron Butterfly. How many people out there do you know who collect Iron Butterfly records? Well, y'all know one right here, right now. Amen. We got Iron Butterfly Heavy. We got my own personal open copy of Iron Butterfly Ball. We've got a late period offering called Scorching Beauty. And obviously, duh, Inagata da vida, baby. Don't you know that I love you? Inagata da vida, baby. Don't you know that my highs are true? Today, to this day, I still don't know what he says at the last part of that line. I don't think anybody was ever meant to know. But this, my personal copy of Inagata na Vida, and this relates to something I'm going to talk about in a minute. People who know old price tags from my old record store, Trash American Style, will recognize that it was one of my $1 or $2 bin price tags. So I fished this out of my own $1 bin to take home and listen to. And it's not in anywhere near mint condition, but it is playable. The thing I like about it most is it is the OG Stone Cold first pressing on the original Atco label with a big fat stereo designation under the white stripe. That, to me, is double ding-dong, dang, damn, darned cool. Because even when I was a wee lad, listening to Inagata da Vida for the first time, my next-door neighbor, Frankie, had an uncle, Uncle Henry, who was, I thought he was a hippie. He had long hair, and it was the early 70s, and I called him a hippie once, and he got really pissed off. What do I know? I was 7 years old. I thought he was a hippie. He looked like a hippie. He had a copy of Inagata da Vida by Iron Butterfly. And even his copy at that very early stage of the game had the more familiar yellow Atco label. You almost always see Iron Butterfly records with the yellow Atco label. Every once in a while, you'll see one with the 80s gray Atco label. And on extremely rare occasions, like this one right here, you will see the very first pressing with the tan and kind of pink Atco label. And you know, people don't collect Iron Butterfly records. I don't know anybody on God's green earth who actually collects Iron Butterfly records. Like, I don't have the 3 label variants of Inagata da Vida in my personal collection. I just got the one, and it's a beater copy that I couldn't even sell for $2 in my record store. That's my personal copy. That's my collection. And I guess that sort of gets into the topic I'm about to address, downgrading one's record collection. And I'm the only guy that I know of who actually does that. But maybe some of you people out there do this yourselves. Maybe you do this yourselves. Chime in and let me know, okay? We'll get back to Iron Butterfly in a minute, because you cannot abandon Iron Butterfly. Excuse me. So yeah, we all know I buy and sell records. A large part of how I pay my bills, a large part of how I pay for Harry the Cat's cat food, is buying, selling, and trading records. The proof of the pudding lies on my Discogs, on my eBay, and on my Bandcamp. Look me up. You'll see I got some stuff for sale, and I want people to buy them. That's how I pay my bills. The name of the game, oddly enough, is not just collecting. It's survival. It's the act of survival. We do what we got to do to survive, and that includes selling records. Okay? So, in my book, the customers always come first. You always have to, I have to sell, you know? I mean, that's how I stay alive. I sell. But I like to collect as well. So the way I've done it all these years is I've got my personal collection, right? For example, Inagata da Vida, OG, tan and pink label. It's in my personal collection, but if somebody messaged me right now and said, hey man, you selling that? My first instinct is to say, yes, it is for sale. You may certainly buy it, and here's the price. So that always comes first. But the collecting bug is still there. So the way I found that I can sort of do both is by downgrading my collection. Now, a really good example of downgrading. I think I did some show and tell on this a little while ago. Here's one example of the rare stripe cover of Love It to Death by Alice Cooper. That, of course, is the Alice Cooper group. Vincent Furnier, Glenn Buxton, Dennis Dunaway, Neil Smith, and Michael Bruce. 5 guys in a band called Alice Cooper. Big difference between that and the guy who changed his name to Alice Cooper with a bunch of other people backing him up. Cooper, Alice is pretty cool. The group Alice Cooper is ultimate. And I do collect Alice Cooper records. So I started off with this rare stripe version of the cover. And as you all may know, the original cover was a full-sized picture of the group in pose with Vincent Furnier with his thumb sticking out of the cloak that he was wearing. So it kind of looks like a ding-dong. Obviously caused a lot of controversy. The cover got pulled, and the first version that they reissued after the Ding Dong issue was addressed was they simply took the top half of the image, centered it, and used a lot of negative space on the top and the bottom. And it actually doesn't look that bad. One reason why it succeeds is because they did it on the back as well. They took the full group portrait and did the same thing. They made a big stripe out of it. So it's artistically sound. And then you open up the inside and you're back to full glory, full-sized graphics. So I had this copy. I would rate this copy as a solid VG+, maybe even mint minus. I don't know if you can see the wax, but the wax has got a nice sheen to it. It's really clean. No nicks, no bumps, no scuffs. Really good, clean copy. So this was my personal copy disc record for a long, long time. Until a short while ago, I came across a second copy. Second copy, I would rate as VG+. It's a good, respectable VG+. You can tell, if you do a little A-B comparison on the two covers, you can see, you know, on the VG Plus one, there's a little more wear and tear, a little bit of discoloration. It's got a little bit of ring wear on the top. Still looks pretty good, but it's not as clean as the solid VG Plus. So, of course, I, being the consummate seller that I am, took the really good, super duper clean copy out of my collection and replaced it with the one that was still pretty good, but not quite as good. Because I don't really care, you know. I just like having a copy of it represented in my collection. And so last week, when I was doing record stores in Virginia and North Carolina, I came across a third copy. And this one could probably still qualify as a VG+. And we'll do an A-B on the one that is definitely VG+, with the one that could probably still qualify as a VG+. You can see there's a little more ring wear, a little more discoloration. It's got a ding on the back, you know, a little bit of split seaming there. Still kind of close, but it's definitely not as good as the VG+. And the vinyl definitely isn't. The vinyl, let's see if we can see this in the light. I don't think you can really see it, but the vinyl on this one's pretty scuffed up. It's definitely got some, you really can't see it. But if you look at it under real light, you can see it's got a lot of scuffs. It's got some scratches. When you play it, there's lots of surface noise. So what did I do? I took the VG Plus and put it in the inventory and replaced it with the one that might qualify as VG Plus. So I went from a solid, super clean, really good VG Plus to a VG Plus to one that might make a VG Plus if you're feeling extremely charitable. Yes, I downgraded my Alice Cooper Love It to Death white stripe cover. Am I the only guy who does that? How about my fellow record dealers out there? Can you guys relate to any of this? Because to me, it's more important to make the sale and put some money in the cat food fund than to say, well, I have a super solid VG Plus copy of the stripe cover of Alice Cooper Love It to Death, and you don't. I'd rather you had it. You can put it in your collection, and I can have the satisfaction of at least owning one and being able to feed Harry the cat. And Harry's a lovely guy. He deserves to be fed. Although he did make a valiant effort at eating an entire squirrel today. I don't know if that's TMI or if anybody out there is squeamish, but Harry the cat, boy howdy. You know how cats are if you have a cat and your cat's an outdoor cat. Cats make a certain sound when they've got something for you. And you know that when they've got something for you, it is a dead animal of some sort. So I heard Harry making that sound today, and it sounded like his mouth was full. And, well, without getting into too much gore, let's just say I can't believe he ate the whole thing. We'll just leave it at that. But anyway, he still likes to eat. He can't live on squirrels alone. I digress. That's why I downgrade my collection, you know. So long as I've got some example of the record in question in my possession, I'm satisfied, you know. And I want to find good homes for these people. That might be a hint. In fact, it's more than just a hint. I want you to buy some of these Alice Cooper records. Leave me the VG Plus one, and you guys can have the good ones. Talk to me. Talk to me. Now, that whole thing was triggered by my discussion of Iron Butterfly and how the fact that my copy of Iron Butterfly's Inagata Vita, yes, it's an OG purple and tan label, but it's not anywhere near in great condition. But this record blew my mind when I was 7 years old. My neighbor's Uncle Henry had this record, and I remember sitting in Frankie Santoyo's living room where his parents had one of those great big old console record players, and hearing In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida for the first time. I thought it was the heaviest, most dramatic, deepest, words fail me. It went beyond music. It was heavy, you know, kind of like the title of the first Iron Butterfly record. It was heavy. My 7-year-old brain could hardly process the spectacle of the full 17-minute version of In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, baby. How long is it? Look at that, 17 minutes and change. Couldn't believe it. I don't think we ever once played the 5 songs on side 1. It was just In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida ad nauseum. In fact, I kind of have a vague memory of borrowing Uncle Henry's copy of In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida and bringing it home and playing it so much that somebody in the household complained. Man, that's a vague memory. That's a very vague memory, but I do believe it happened. I do believe that in fact, I'm kind of remembering that we had a back porch that was open air, and there was an electrical outlet out there, which was a really amazing thing in the late 60s, early 70s. Outdoor electricity, whoa, that was something. So I had my little plastic battery-powered record player. It was better than a Kenner close and play, but not by a whole lot. It was plastic. It had a lid that you would snap open and open up, and the plastic record player was inside. And I kind of remember being out there on the porch playing In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, and somebody from inside the house saying, "Will you turn that off?" Proof that it's a great rock and roll song, because it pissed off a parental type somewhere. Even at the age of 7. So In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, baby. This was the real deal for yours truly at that time, in that age. And that's one of those albums and one of those songs, you know, I forgot about for a very, very, very long time. Until this copy wandered into the store, and I was like, oh boy, I should play that again. Played it, fell in love with it all over again. And unlike when I was 7 years old, actually flipped over in the record to the A side and played the 5 songs on the A side. And I first noticed like just how cool their song titles were. My Mirage, Termination, Are You Happy? My Mirage and Termination especially kind of resonated with me. Those are great song titles. And they're good songs. They're definitely good songs. You can tell, at least to my ear, that these guys were probably like your standard run-of-the-mill West Coast garage band who somehow got heavier, got a little more psychedelic, and did this In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida thing, which really basically sounds like a garage rock band, but with that extra degree of heaviness and that extra degree of trippiness. So I figured, I like this, it bears more investigation. As I said earlier, Iron Butterfly records are not rare, they are not collectible. You can find them in just about any cheap bin anywhere that you want. So acquiring an Iron Butterfly collection is very easy. So Ball. I believe this is the album that came out after In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, baby. No hits on this record per se. But you look at those dudes, man, they're groovy. They are groovy. That's what the older people looked like when I was a kid. All my parents' friends who were like really sort of like turned on, they looked like these guys. Maybe not as fancy schmancy as in full color, but definitely in black and white. My parents' friends definitely look like these guys in black and white. That ain't bad. You know, that ain't bad. That's the look that I aspired to when I was 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old. I don't anymore. but I did then. What kind of groovy song titles do we have here? Soul Experience, Real Fright, Filled with Fear, Belle the Beast. Now these are not hippie song titles, man. Real Fright, filled with fear. Damn. These guys had some kind of a bee in their collective bonnet. What else have we got here on their album? Heavy. Unconscious Power. You Can't Win. Get out of my life, woman. Stamped Ideas. Possession. Did I already say unconscious power? I'll say it again. Unconscious power. Yeah, man. Definite undercurrent of darkness and heaviness to these guys. Are they as good as Led Zeppelin? Well, good and bad are relative things, you know. Good and bad is strictly in the ear of the hearer. Are they as technically proficient as Led Zeppelin? No, not at all. Listening to Iron Butterfly and thinking about the fabled tour in 1969 when Led Zeppelin was their opening act, and by all accounts Led Zeppelin completely took a flamethrower to Iron Butterfly, you can see why. I love Iron Butterfly, but you got to admit, you got to be honest, they were pretty limited in their abilities. And the prospect of me being an Iron Butterfly, going out there to play my 17-minute bongo solo during Inagata Vida after Led Zeppelin had just been on stage, daunting. Quite daunting. Personally, I would have said, Led Zeppelin, I'll tell you what, we'll finish the tour. You know, we're not going to cancel. We're not going to throw you guys off the tour. But you know what? We'll go on first, and you guys can close the show. I think that would have been a smart, maybe Machiavellian maneuver on Iron Butterfly's behalf. Instead of being blown off the stage every night by trying to follow Led Zeppelin and or getting bad publicity by throwing them off the tour, they could have said, we'll go first. You guys can go second. Do your best to follow us, kind of thing, you know? I don't know. That's just the way I would have done it. I do things in a strange way. So, yeah, it's really enjoyable, but definitely not on the technically proficient level of ye old Led Zeppelin. That's a pretty cool cover, though. I mean, look at that. Look at that hippie desert Stonehenge symbolism. Look at the warped psychedelia, including the mysterious Smoke Man. Ooh. The Bee Gees had an album called Spirits Having Flown, but these guys, you can see they've got a spirit having flying right there. My goodness. Iron Butterfly. After Iron Butterfly Mach 1 broke up, a couple of them split off and formed the great Captain Beyond, with Rod Evans, the original singer of Deep Purple. And they ground out one really good album. The one with the 3D lenticular cover. Second album, eh. First album, yeah. Well worth checking out. And after that, original Deep Purple lead vocalist, I've already forgotten his name, Rod Evans, went off on an extremely ill-fated venture with an ersatz version of Deep Purple. And if you guys want to dig deep into the extremely sleazy world of rock and roll promotion, look up Fake Deep Purple and prepare yourself for a long, deep journey into the heart of darkness of rock and roll promotion. Fake Deep Purple. I guarantee satisfaction. And then after that, after Captain Beyond, Iron Butterfly got back together in some form or another and did a couple of albums, one of which was Scorching Beauty. This is a really good record. This record is actually kind of Hawkwind-ish. It's definitely heavy. It's got a little bit of glam going on it. It's good. I would say it's maybe even better than the Iron Butterfly Mach 1 lineup. And as you can see by the telltale cutout notch in the corner, it did not sell. It went straight to the cutout bins pretty much. And I remember this record from the cutout bins when I was a kid. 99 cents at Specs Music. They had stacks of these things, and I never even spent the dollar for one on MCA records. In my opinion, one shite record label was MCA. But that's a different story for a different day. It's a good record, though. If you see it, pay the dollar for it. Hell, pay $2 for it. In my opinion, it's worth the $2. And I could talk about Angel, but I don't think I'm gonna. I don't think I'm gonna. Angel, like other things I've talked about today, will just have to be another story for another day. Angel. We'll talk about Angel later. So yeah, I think that's basically it, kids. We just burned up almost an hour of time talking tunes. Let's see if anybody's got any comments before I sign off. Let's see. James Pogo says, sell that Chun King. You could buy the whole pet food store. Oh, boy. Bob Eaton just made an offer on the Alice Cooper record for $1. Sorry, Bob. Good try, Bob. Good try. As Skipper Chuck used to say, I used to watch Skipper Chuck every morning before going to school on Channel 4. Skipper Chuck would say, Bob, you're an almost winner. And he would probably reach out and shake your hand. So yeah, almost winner, Bob. Almost. I hope you're still having a lovely time in Vermont, camping in the great outdoors. In fact, you should be watching the sunset right now. Don't you think? I'm going to be doing that in just a few minutes myself. So anyway, thank you everybody for tuning in. It's always a lot of fun to hang out with you guys on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. on Facebook Live. Hopefully it's as much fun for you folks who watch it afterwards on the YouTube channel. Please feel free to comment, subscribe, join in on the doings here on Tent Talks Tunes. Me, later tonight, I think I'm going to be playing some Alice Cooper and some Iron Butterfly while I play with my puny products. Sounds like a fun night. I hope to be back in about 167 hours time. So till we meet again, this is Malcolm Tent saying so long from the Nutmeg State.